unusual for you, Hayley, to be on the side of the camera
Yes.
as opposed to that side of the
Definitely,
camera.
yeah.
So it's great to see you again.
Thanks, and you.
Anyway, the last time I saw you was the day before the cinema release of
Yes.
Something in the Water in the UK.
Yes.
And today, as we sit here, you're number 2 on Netflix.
Yep.
How does that feel?
Yeah, no, that's really good, isn't it?
That's
I think?
amazing, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, it came out on Friday, and then it went to number 2 on Saturday, I think. But yeah, that's great. It's great.
Fabulous.
It's great because after all this time, it's sort of having a new, it had the cinema release, and then it had like a Prime Video release, and then it was sort of released around the world, and then it had a DVD release, and now it's the Netflix release. So yeah.
When you finish making a film, do you watch it again, or are you one of these directors who say it's done, I'm moving on?
I haven't watched it again.
You haven't watched
No.
it. So the last time you saw it was when it was in its...
I saw it. We did a cast and crew screening after it was done. So yeah, I watched it for that. But I don't think I've watched it since. I mean, I've seen it about 300 times or something. So I feel like I should just leave it alone for a minute.
I get that. Some
Yeah.
directors say once it's done, it's done. Musicians, once I've done the album, I never listen again.
Yeah,
so
exactly. I mean, so I had it on at home on Netflix over the weekend, but I didn't watch it. I was just sort of like, oh look, it's on Netflix, and it, and played it, but I didn't sort of watch it in the end.
I had seen it, and at the weekend it was on at home
Yeah.
as well. My daughter
Yeah,
wanted
good.
to see it because she knew I was seeing you, so she
Yeah.
said, oh, I'm going to watch this. So yeah, it's terrifying.
Yeah. No,
50 years ago, the world was been terrified going into the sea by Jaws.
Yes.
And they're terrified again. Thanks.
Well, I was hoping not to do that. I mean, I think that that Jaws thing was actually, it was like a serious problem. I don't know if you remember
Yes.
that whole thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
People went out and killed sharks.
Yes, I know,
So
it was sad.
Yeah, that was the sort of the objective of this one, was to make sure people didn't do that. It wasn't the sharks' fault. Just
Yeah.
doing what they need to do, no food.
I agree. I was making it, I made a flippant comment,
No,
but it's a real
yeah,
problem.
it
It
is,
was
yeah.
at the time,
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
it?
Yeah.
But your movie was, yes, there was a shark in it, but
Yeah.
for me, it was more of a group of friends trying to overcome a terrible situation,
Yeah, exactly.
adversity, testing
Yeah.
their relationships,
Exactly.
and it happened to be a shark.
Yes.
That was the thing that was
Yeah.
causing it.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because it's sort of almost like a shark film for people that don't really watch shark films in a way, because it's about those women and that, their friendship and that situation. It's like a survival, thriller, but it happens to be in the ocean and there are sharks that are killing them. Yeah.
On the outside of the movie industry, looking in, we're always reading about how difficult it is for women in the industry. You've just made a movie with a female director, female producer, all female cast. Was it really that difficult?
Well, it wasn't. It sort of naturally happened like that. I mean, it was a female writer, and of course the character's a female. I think it was a natural choice to bring in a female director, and the producer was a woman as well. It just sort of came together, but it felt really good actually, because we had a lot of female HODs. It was a really heavily female crew. And that, I've worked for a lot of years on other people's movies, and I've never once worked for a female director, so it felt so brilliant to have this experience. And we were just hiring the best people, and it just happened to, end up being a lot of women, which is great.
Could you pass my apologies on to the writer? I forgot to list her when I was saying all the things. And your next movie, which you're working on,
Yes.
that's an all-female cast too,
Yes,
is that right?
more or less, yes.
And the crew?
Will be. Well, I mean, we've got a lot of women. We've got some of the same HODs as Something in the Water, in fact. But yeah, that's kind of and this isn't something that I've particularly set out. It's just this is a natural kind of thing that's happening with the projects that I'm doing and the stories I'm sort of telling. I mean, everything I write has a female protagonist, but that's, I'm a woman, so that's going to happen.
And you've written this one as well.
I've written this one, yes, yeah. So actually, Something in the Water, so Kat Clark wrote it, and I was hired in to direct it, but all of the others that I've got going on at the moment, I've written as well.
The one after that, can you talk about that? The one after The Climb?
Yeah, so I've got there's a few. I've got a TV show, which is a sort of big action thriller, 6-part TV show, which I'm developing at the moment. I'm writing with another writer. That's probably going to be based in Scotland actually, and it's that's about sort of ex-military black ops kind of operative, a woman who is dishonourably discharged, and she ends up sort of in this kind of corrupt world of mining, and yeah, it's a really good one.
Sounds good. I want to see that.
It's a good one. It's a good. They've all my films tend to have a bit of a sort of environmental kind of slant. Again, not really intentional, but I suppose that's the world I'm interested in. So yeah.
Create good stories.
Yeah.
So can we turn the clock back a bit? What got you interested in movies in the first place?
Oh well, I suppose I just I've always watched films relentlessly. There was no, I've got an 8-year-old son, and I really police what he watches, and I'm really on it, and I'm really oh no, it's going to give you nightmares. But in my house, no one policed it, so it was just we had VHS tapes of everything, and so I'd watch really I was watching very scary films and stuff from when I was quite young, which still give me nightmares actually. But I loved my favourite film when I was growing up was Indiana Jones, Back to the Future, all of those, E.T., all of those Spielberg films I just absolutely adored, and I'd watch again and again and again, because we had because obviously it was no one could stream movies and we were quite limited on what we could watch, but I'd literally watch them hundreds of times. I probably can still tell you all the words to Back to the Future and Wizard of Oz and Young Frankenstein, and
What's your earliest movie memory?
I think probably, funnily enough, it was Jaws. I'd watched a lot of films before then, and that was out, before I was born. But it must have come back to the cinema. I remember seeing it in 3D, and I remember having the glasses to go and see it. And it was a really big deal, and I must have been too young to see it, but I did. And it really that sort of sticks out as one of my clearest sort of cinema experiences.
My earliest cinema experience is Jaws 2.
Okay, probably
terrified.
Yeah, because I think probably, there's probably a lot before that, but that's the one that everyone remembers.
I was too young to see it as well.
Yeah.
And what was the thing that got you interested in movies as a career? What was the thing that made you say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to be involved in special effects and directing?
Well, I suppose it's just it was a natural thing for me. I remember when I was about 11, my parents had bought me a camcorder, a little video camera, and I really loved animated films, and I loved things like Ray Harryhausen movies, like Jason and the Argonauts and stuff like that. I was obsessed with those, and I sat in my bedroom, and I didn't know how to do stop frame animation, but I thought it can't be that hard. I mean, surely it's you just kind of film it for a second and move something. So I did. I used to sit in my bedroom and practice doing that, and I made these little films, and then. I did, I was doing art at school, and I remember for my GCSE art exam, I did a whole animated film, and it was just something I really loved doing. I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed doing those because I got to do everything. So I got to set up, I got to write a little story and set up the whole thing and do the camera and do, it was sort of, all mine. And then I used to like photography a lot when I was growing up, and I did photography at A-levels and stuff, but I studied film and photography at Foundation, and then I really loved everything about it, but right then visual effects, there was a sort of new wave of visual effects happening, and that felt really, really exciting, and that combined with my sort of interest in animation, I went off down that path, and I went and got a job as a runner and started just teaching myself how to do 3D animation.
Right. And did you have a mentor or an influence who really drove you and helped to give you advice on how to get on in the industry?
No, not at all, actually. In fact, it's very difficult to get help from anyone. So now I help everyone. So anyone that needs help, I help everyone, because no one really helped. Not really.
Nobody to help. That's sad.
Really. It was very difficult because, the way you got started in those jobs is you got a job as a runner. And then while you're making cups of tea and everything, I did it on the night shift, actually. I found that on the night shift, there's a lot more downtime, so I could go and sit in the 3D department and use all the software and try and teach myself how to do it. So I did that, and then I got a show reel together, and then I applied for jobs at all these places in Soho. And then actually there was a company that needed a junior animator, so they hired me, and the guy there, he was really lovely. He was lovely, and but I was there for a sort of a short amount of, well, I suppose I was there maybe for 6 months or a year. And I taught myself, we were doing commercials, and so that was a little bit like doing those animations in my bedroom when I was younger, because when you do small commercials, you get to do it all. You get to build the 3D characters, models, set up the scene, you know, and light it, set up the camera, animate them. You do the whole thing, and it's really lovely and creative. But it's sort of a bit limited in what you can do. And then when I got quite good at doing that, I ended up getting a job at a visual effects film company, and then I was working on things like Harry Potter and that sort of thing. But that kind of took me down a different path, because it became very technical, and I lost that lovely creativity that you have with doing sort of just something on your own. And so I kind of thought, well, I don't really know what to do. I'm not really happy doing this. So I decided I wanted to design sets. So I went and I started working on people's films for nothing, and I got a job doing standby art directing. I was working on short films, and I did a TV show. And then I eventually started designing these little short films, and then I got a job with someone that I used to do visual effects with, and I was doing previs, and so it was a little bit more creative again. I got back to that world where I got control of setting up these scenes and doing this animation, and it felt nice. But I realised then, that was the point when I realised that there was a big gap between the visual effects department, this sort of technical department, and the art department, which was doing all the lovely artwork and design, and neither of them understood each other. So I made up this job of visual effects art director, and I went and just took a portfolio of all my stuff that I've been doing all over the years and trying to get a job as that. And someone took a chance on me, and I got a job on a Roland Emmerich movie as the visual effects art director, and that was like a sort of quite a big turning point, because then I'd created this new job, and I found a niche then. And actually the production designer I was working for, he was great, and he loved the underdog, I think. So he was really trying to, you know, he wanted to help me. He did want to help me. And so I found this job where I just made up what I wanted to do, and so I had the skill for, you know, I'd do everything. I'd work out practically how we were gonna, which bits of the sets we'd build for real, which bits would be visual effects, what the visual effects would look like, how we'd build the set with the green screen, how we'd lay it out. I'd set up a camera on the computer and work out, okay, well, if we've got a 50mm lens and we put it here, what can we see, and what do I need to design for that bit? Is that visual effects? And then I'd let the visual effects department know and the art department know, and then I'd take the whole thing and I'd paint over it, and I'd light it beautifully, and I'd make concept art out of it, which, you know, I'd sit with the director and we'd go through moments in the movie. And so it felt like when I went into that world that I was probably making films, sort of, you know, even though I was doing all these different things for different people, it felt like suddenly I'd kind of found my niche. But then once I've been doing that for quite a while, I did that on lots of big films. I was writing as well all along. I was writing short films and scripts, and I just thought, I don't really know why I'm not making them myself. So I went and made a short film.
So that wasn't you didn't always want to be a director, you got to the point where you thought, I can do this?
Yeah, it's funny, because I sort of, at the start, I guess I did, because I went and studied film, and then I was just so set on this brilliant, amazing visual effects world. But I don't think I could have got to directing without doing all of this, because it feels like now, I mean, some people do. Some people go to film school and then they just want to be a director, and that's what they call themselves, and that's that. But I don't think, for me, without doing all these different jobs and working with all these different people and these directors, I don't think I would have the skills that, you know, that I feel I've got now, that gives me the confidence to sort of, you know, go and do it. I feel like now I've got such a well-rounded amount of kind of knowledge and skills that I feel completely able and confident to do it.
Right. Are your friends all in the film industry, or are you the one person in your circle of friends who's in it and everybody else does all sorts of other things?
Bit of both, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's because I've worked for so long in the film industry. I've loads of people that I know, and my husband's in the film industry as well. You know, we've got a lot of film industry friends.
Okay. I wondered if when you go out at the weekend, you're out with people who work
different people, obviously, as well. But yeah, old friends aren't so much. But yeah, we've definitely got quite a few that are.
Right. What do you do when you're not working to your passions that you have outside of movies?
Well, it's funny because actually it used to be writing because that was actually my hobby for ages because I'd be working on other people's films and then I'd just be all the time I'd spend writing. But yeah, now I've got my 8-year-old son, so that keeps me pretty busy. But
Yeah.
we sort of, we
You
get
still
climbing
running?
and
You still running?
I run a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I run a lot. The running is the thing that keeps me sane, I think, and also that's the time when I get all my ideas for scripts and all of that. If there's anything I need to resolve in a script, it's if I go for a run, I've normally worked it out by the time I come home.
You training for a race?
No, I never race. I don't like the
You're
racing thing. I just want to be on my own.
Right,
and run
okay.
and be free.
I'm the opposite.
Are
I'm
you?
ultra competitive, so I run, but it's because I'm chasing a race or a time or something
okay.
like that.
Yeah,
so
no, I can't. For some reason, I'm quite competitive actually. But yeah, the running thing. I just want to be free. Yeah, I can't stand it if someone just runs. I can't go running with a friend or anything or a club. I just can't bear it.
do you run in silence or do you have earphones and music?
No music, no anything. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it used to be music, but now it's not.
You mean you don't listen to music at all?
No, I do listen to music all the time,
thought
but
you
just
might.
not when I used to always listen to music when I was running, but now I much prefer it. I feel like a purist.
What music do you listen to?
What at home? Well, actually,
Yeah, when you're not running.
it really depends because I always make a playlist for whatever I'm writing. So every script has a playlist that sort of, it evolves over however long I've taken to write the script. But so I'll sit when I'm working, I'll sit and I'll put 6 music on, and then I'll get loads of, there'll be certain things that are kind of, depending on what I'm writing, and I'll be like, okay, that's good. And I'll start making notes of things, and then I'll just go down that track and I'll start, sort of bringing in loads of, whatever. It depends what I'm working on because it'll define what I listen to.
That's the beauty of Spotify and Apple Music, isn't it? The rabbit holes.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And who's your favourite artist or favourite artists?
Got loads. I like electronic music quite a lot. So there's quite a lot of different people I like. But I'll still listen to David Bowie, and I have got quite a lot of different interests.
Bowie, that's my number one.
Really?
Yeah, as well as lots of other things as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And are you still diving? I know you told me before that you dive.
No, in fact, I've got a. It's funny because probably I think I'm just trying to count them. There's at least 3 projects I've got coming up are all based in the water, which is a bit mental really because it's from something in the water which was quite difficult. All in the water. I've got these 3 that are going to be a lot of diving, free diving, scuba diving, lots of yeah.
Okay.
So not at the moment, but I'm sure I will.
Is your son interested in movies?
He is, yeah, he really is, and he makes little animations with his Lego. I help him with it, but yeah, he keeps saying he wants to be either a marine biologist or a film director. That's his things.
Right. Okay. I thought I would ask because although you and your husband are both in the movie industry, he might be not interested at all. On the other hand, he might be.
Yeah,
that's the natural path.
Yeah, I think he likes it because it's just, it's really exciting for him to be on a film set. And when we did Something in the Water, it was just brilliant for him because we were out in Dominican Republic for 3.5 months. So he was out of school and then he was on a film set and there was so many stunts and, crashing speedboats and all these things. And he's just great.
He must be quite a cool kid in school.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. He's very, he's pretty creative. So he likes all of that stuff.
Right,
yeah,
okay.
I think he likes the experience. I don't know how he'd feel about actually, going and doing all that hard work, but he loves the idea of it, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Did you ever have a moment where you thought, I'm quitting this, I'm going to do something else, I'm going to go and get a normal job?
No, not really. Most people do, and actually there's been some pretty low points, and there's, definitely lots of points where it just feels like, you're not getting anywhere. It's just really like sending out scripts and just never really progressing. But I don't think I've ever thought I won't do it.
No.
There's something that makes me want to, it's like when I write a script, I just can't leave it alone. It's never a chore to do it. Do you know what I mean? It's like something that I just literally have to do. So if I write a script, I just can't put it down, and 60 pages just comes out immediately, and I just cannot leave it alone, and I'm thinking about it every minute of every day.
3.5 months in Dominican Republic. Most people would say that sounds like paradise, but you were working and you're working hard.
Yeah.
So did you get a chance to see around after the movie finished?
No, because we had to come back and we shot in London straight away, so we finished there and came straight back. But and actually we were doing 6-day weeks when we were shooting there, so we didn't have that much time off, but we did have quite a bit of time in prep where we had weekends and stuff. So yeah, we saw a bit of it.
You got a holiday when you got back, when you finished filming though? Did you get away somewhere?
No, actually, because we went straight into the edit. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And is that the way it's going to be until these current projects are out? Yeah.
I'm hoping there's going to be some more holidays. I did a holiday after the edit on that one. I think I went skiing. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Where's the best place you've ever been to?
In the world?
Yes.
That's a good question, isn't it? I've got favourite places. I love Grenada. One of my favourite places in the world is Australia. I love New Zealand as well. I love that bit of the world.
Right, okay. I've never been to Australia or New Zealand.
I love it there. But I wonder, it's sort of nostalgic for me because me and my husband spent just under a year there when we were in our 20s, and we've got some lovely friends there and stuff, so it feels a bit like home.
Right, good. Well, thank you. It's been fantastic catching up with you again. Thank you so much for answering all my questions.